Good evening. Good evening. I'm still Bruce Wingus, president of Photo Society. Let me click this off my screen here. Welcome to our Gear Show program. It's being produced by the good folks at Pixel Connection up in Avon. Just got a few things to share before we get to the program. First of all, I want to congratulate all the winners of our annual photo contest, and thanks to all of you who shared your wonderful images to make up the contest. If you missed the program last month, the winners are on our website, cvps.org. The current photo walk runs through December 20th, with the virtual sharing and critique session on December 22nd. And it's all about the holidays, anything from Christmas lights to people to the goofy things you do with your pets. So still got some time to get in on that. Our first program for the new year will feature landscape photographer Wayne Suggs. Wayne's a New Mexico native who's photographed the Southwest for more than 45 years, and that will be Wednesday, January 19th at 7 o'clock. You can check your email, Facebook, and our webpage for programming information and other updates. And if you're interested in helping the Photo Society Steering Committee with such events as this program or other activities such as the photo contest, please send an email to president@cvps.org. That's president@cvps.org. We'd love to have your help. We'd love to add your voice to the things that we do here. And finally, if any of you on this program are not members of the Photo Society, why not? Go ahead and join us through the Conservancy. And now I'm going to turn things over to Steve Ash, who's in charge of our programming. So Steve, have at it.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Appreciate that. And I should say we have a relatively new programming committee that's been working hard on behalf of the steering board in identifying top speakers around the country, since we're able to use virtual shows. Just briefly, those members are Chris Brown, Bob Davis, Gene Krasinski, Janine Reiser, and VJ. And I think you're going to be real happy with the upcoming programs we have. Tonight is a very special event. It's our first time trying kind of a gear show. So we're thrilled to have all of you with us today. And I'm happy to introduce Matt Sweddle as our guest for this special gear show. Matt is the sales manager at Pixel Connection. He's been with the company for 4 years now. And if you don't know Pixel Connection, it's located in Avon, and it's been servicing photographers and videographers across the country for the past 7 years. I think they're doing just a great job. They're such a great addition to Northeast Ohio. They are an authorized dealer for most of the major brands, including Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fujifilm, Tamron, Sigma, Olympus, Panasonic, etc. So we're going to turn it over to Matt now. I do think he's going to have opportunities for questions and follow-ups, and it can be an interactive discussion here. I'm going to ask Matt to begin by telling us about the equipment he's using right now to video broadcast and get us the video and audio. I think that'll be interesting to our members. So let's hand it over to Matt. Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be here. And thanks for always the continued support each year. And we're happy to sponsor the club in many different ways and everything, especially with the gift card for the competition, and also for pretty much doing shows like this. We're hoping to do more of these with you guys. And if you guys ever have any certain topics, we can always pull from different speakers as our different brands. But I wanted to talk to you guys about how exactly my setup is right now. And I really wish I had a handheld camera as well. But right now I'm using a Fujifilm X Pro 3, and I'm hooking that right into my computer. And the nice thing, most manufacturers released firmware updates right at the start of COVID so people can use their cameras as webcams. So all you need to do is put a firmware update on your camera, download a program on your computer, and pretty much you can go ahead and have nice, clear video and audio for any type of work meetings in case you're working from home, which a lot of people are. And it's a really nice benefit of pretty much and a secondary use of your camera. Because what a lot of times people do these meetings and everything, they don't really want pretty much a webcam hooked onto their computer. They want something a bit more crisp. So it's pretty simple, and I'm just using a nice big LED light to go ahead and illuminate myself a little bit. Very simple to set up, guys, but I highly recommend trying it out one time. It's really kind of adds a little bit of a nice punch to your next video meeting. So, but yeah, that's what I'm using and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
any other questions about that, guys? And I'm pretty much open to go ahead and having this free form. Anyone kind of can go ahead and feel free to ask a question about that. No, cool. If you guys are worried about which cameras it is, just go from down to your Rebel T7s or your basic ones all the way up to this nice big medium format one from Fujifilm. You know, it might be a little overkill for a webcam, but that can be it. So, but yeah, let me talk a little bit about ourselves here over at Pixel Connection. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Everyone can see my PowerPoint, correct?
Yes, we're good.
All right, cool. So, but yeah, no, as Steve said, we are an authorized dealer of most major camera brands. We carry a wide variety of pretty much to serve everyone's photo and video needs. If you don't see it on our floor, most likely we can bring it in. We have a wide variety of stuff that you can choose from. We are located in Avon, Ohio, just south of Detroit Road on 83. I know pretty much a lot of people are coming in from the Cuyahoga Valley area. But you know, we try to make it worth your while to stop to come by. We treat it like a destination store, and we're typically very well stocked on items that you can get in your hands and try out and test out. The nice thing, what we do here, we do a full rental catalog. If you go to our website and click on rentals, you'll see that we buy back used gear. We also offer trade-ins. We do a number of classes, photo walks, and events. One of our bigger events that we do in the year is what we call Pixel Photo Fest. And this is a Cleveland-based 3-day photo conference that we offer pretty much a wide variety of classes, anything from your astrophotography to your portrait photography, and also pretty much wildlife, animal, nature, landscapes. We do a wide variety of topics for this photo conference just because we want to make sure we're not really kind of leaving anybody out. Definitely, I recommend checking that out. This year it is August 13th and 15th, and passes until, if you're looking to get a pass, it's only $99 right now up until the end of the year. So it's an early bird special. So highly recommend it. This will be our 4th or 5th year that we're doing this. So it's a great opportunity. Let me go ahead and stop sharing for a moment and kind of talk about, I know Steve sent me a number of notes. Pretty much, I think it sounded like as if what a number of people are asking about different camera bodies, and pretty much the biggest thing against a DSLR versus a mirrorless camera. Nowadays, what you're going to see is most manufacturers are building towards a mirrorless lineup. Really kind of your Fujifilm, Sony, Panasonic, and Olympus really started this trend, but now you see Canon and Nikon really kind of follow up in the past 3 years now with some really great cameras as well. Does everyone know the difference between a mirrorless and a traditional DSLR camera?
You might want to just summarize it. I'm not sure those that don't know would say so, but if you could briefly summarize it, probably.
No worries at all. So in a traditional DSLR, I have this 5D Mark IV here. What this does is, let me go ahead and get a little bit of different focus here. This has a mirror. Okay, what happens is once you take a photo, the mirror needs to flip up in order to let the light pass through and go ahead and pretty much get have the light hit the sensor and take the image. What happens there is that pretty much you're relying on this mirror always popping up for you, which could cause problems. Pretty much it could slow you down a little bit. The great thing about not having a mirror in there is that what you see is what you get. So as you're taking photos, on the back of that screen, as you're making global adjustments to your shutter speed, to your aperture and ISO, you're going to see that live on screen. It's a really kind of cool way to pretty much photograph. Honestly, when I switched over to mirrorless about 4 years ago, I was still doing weddings, and it cut my shot count down in half. What that meant is that pretty much I knew what the shot I got, and I didn't really need to worry about taking multiple different shots or spraying and praying, is what I like to call it. So pretty much that's how your traditional DSLR would look. In here, this is your mirrorless camera. You have pretty much no mirror box to flip up. So the light's passing through that lens and hitting that sensor. Also the great thing about these mirrorless cameras is that they have built-in stabilization. So let's say if you're doing any kind of handheld work where you're shooting at a lower shutter speed, what's going to happen now is that you're going to be able to pretty much go at a lower shutter speed and handhold this and have a clearer image. You can also pretty much use this to your benefit as well with eye autofocus, animal tracking, vehicle tracking, airplane tracking. What they have built into these cameras now with these autofocus systems is just incredible, which you typically will not ever see in a traditional DSLR. There's might be a few of them like the newer Canon 1DX Mark III, but to get those features, what you're doing is essentially that's locking up that mirror the entire time. So it's treating it like a mirrorless camera. The benefits in a mirrorless camera, I think, greatly outweigh what's in a traditional DSLR, along with you don't really need to calibrate your lenses anymore because you don't have that mirror box. Does that kind of make a lot of sense to a lot of people? Everybody? Cool. So durability and weather resistance, a lot of people are very worried about that because they see a DSLR like the Nikon Z50 and wonder if the Z6 II, their mirrorless counterpart, is going to be just as durable as the Z50. And it is. The Nikon camera bodies and most camera bodies are just as durable and weather sealed as what you'd see in their traditional DSLR counterparts. I wouldn't really think you'd have much really worry. A lot of people are always worried also because they have existing lenses from Canon, Nikons, and they're like, oh, what am I going to do with those lenses if I switch over to a mirrorless body? The nice thing, each brand has their own adapter to take their F mount or EF mount and switch that over directly onto the mirrorless counterpart and not really see any kind of difference in autofocus speeds. Even if you want to look at going over to Sony from Canon, you have that ability to use the Sigma adapter and adapt those Canon lenses over to a Sony body. It's really cool, and I highly pretty much, and this causes no image degradation whatsoever. They're a completely clear adapter, and what it does essentially is rewriting that firmware over onto the new mount. So yeah, any questions about adapters and usage of those?
So does the adapter change the image size because the lenses, I mean, obviously those, and I'm thinking about that Z mount is a much wider mouth, right? The size of the lens is much wider. So if you're putting on that adapter using an older lens, is that using a smaller part of the sensor?
No, not whatsoever. So what happens is that, yes, on the Z mount camera, let me pull one of these up. You're going to see the mount is significantly bigger than what you'd see on your traditional DSLR from Nikon, from the F mount. Okay, the Z mount is a lot bigger, but what that does, that gives Nikon the ability to go ahead and make faster lenses and also be able to put more information in that lenses, like a control ring, where you're able to control pretty much different functionality in your camera and mount that directly onto a ring on the lens. But no, it does not change the size. So you're still using a full frame, using that full size of that sensor to capture that. All it's doing essentially is taking enough space right here in order to pretty much properly work and give that image the correct ratio on there. So it's pretty much taking the flange distance and making that a little bit longer for that lens to work properly. So, because you got to remember that now when you're using a F mount piece of glass on a mirrorless camera, your F mount's definitely going to be a lot smaller, but that's also used for that mirror box. So you don't really have a mirror box anymore in that camera. So you have to make that distance between the two. So, but yeah, there's no image degradation at all.
That's helpful. You know, I had an email from one of our members asking, how do I make on Zoom a bigger image of Matt and his display? For those that don't know, in the upper right, you have a view button in Zoom. And in that view button, you can select speaker as opposed to gallery. So if you go to, maximize your screen size and go to speaker, you'll be able to see a much larger image of all the things that Matt is displaying, just for those who were looking for that. So sorry for the interruption.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'd rather you guys ask away and everything like that to make sure everyone's getting what they need out of this, because, that's what I'm here for. So that's how we pretty much treat everybody here, especially you guys. If you're just coming in for a question, anything, we're more than happy to help you out. So if you guys got a question, even if you feel like, hey, it might sound dumb or something like that, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm more than happy to help. So, but yeah, pretty much talking about sensor size as well. In mirrorless cameras, you still have the same sensor size as you would have in your traditional DSLRs. So right here is the Nikon Z50, which is their DX or crop sensor size. It's the same mount as what you'd have on your Z camera, okay? But just a bigger sensor on there. Your lenses, even full frame lenses, are still going to work on this Z50, just like you would find on a D500 work with a full frame lens. Nowadays, you also have brands like Fujifilm, which are releasing medium format sensor cameras, mirrorless cameras now that you typically will only find with like a phase 1. But now they have this 100 megapixel sensor in here in this GFX 100 series, and you're able to capture that without having a big memory back or anything like that. It's all right in camera. So, and in-body image stabilization. But yeah, what's really kind of pushing the industry is this mirrorless trend. And you're going to see most manufacturers really kind of go away from their DSLRs and push forward with the mirrorless camera. It's just, we get a lot of complaints and questions about that, but that's just the way pretty much everyone's going nowadays. So any kind of new lenses, you're going to see them pretty much made primarily for their mirrorless offerings. So, and you don't really,
I have a question. If you use an adapter, does that allow autofocus to continue?
Yes. So there are adapters that don't allow autofocus. So let's say there's not a lot of great adapters out there to take your Nikon lenses and mount them over onto a Sony camera body. Nikon has a very closed mount system, so they're not really open to allowing different people to reverse engineer that type of offering. But what you can do is you can also get manual focus adapters, whereas it's going to allow you to pretty much mount any type of lens over onto a certain camera. So the possibilities are pretty endless of what you can do. But if you want to capture autofocus, the 3 main adapters I'd recommend, if you're looking to go with Nikon, then the Nikon FTZ adapter is what you'd want. For Canon, EF to RF is what you'd want the Canon one. They have 4 different ones. They have the basic one, which is $99. They have one with a control ring on it, which is $200. And then they also have ones that have a drop-in ND filter, a drop-in polarizing filter as well. So Canon really has some really nice offerings. But if you're looking to go ahead and take your Canon lenses, EF lenses over and put them on a Sony body, the Sigma MC11 is your best option. This one's been around out for about I would say 5 to 6 years now. And really a lot of people use this just to get started into the Sony camera system. Any other questions about the adapters and the offerings and how you can pretty much mount your lenses over to these mirrorless cameras?
How about adapters from Canon lenses to Fuji camera bodies?
So there's a couple different brands out there. Biltrox makes those. So does Photodiox. Are the 2 brands that I pretty much have used before and everything. They work pretty well from what I hear, but we regularly don't see a lot of people using EF lenses over to a Fujifilm system. A lot of people who switch over to Fujifilm, they see their lenses and offerings and just their lenses are tack sharp and really great. So a lot of people just like using that, but there are definitely options for autofocus adapters for EF to FX or XF. So. And then nowadays, a lot of people are also worried about, do I have to spend a ton of money on, and let's say on a Sony camera plus only getting Sony lenses? Not necessarily anymore. Over the past year and a half, both Tamron and Sigma have come out really some great affordable lenses for the E mount. Especially Tamron now is coming out with Fujifilm mount lenses as well. And then hopefully down the line, as the lineup matures from both Nikon and Canon, you're going to see some RF and Z mount lenses out there in the wild. So it's pretty cool. I think, that's a great offering from whereas you see these third-party lens manufacturers like Tamron and Sigma making some nice affordable lenses that, you don't have to go ahead and buy the OEM ones. So. The really cool part is I love this lens from Canon, the RF 70 to 200 2.8. I'm not sure if you guys pretty much have a 70 to 200 EF lens at all, but it's a lot bigger than this, isn't it? You can see how small this is. It does telescope out, but I mean, can you imagine just having this in your bag instead of a long 70-200, about the size of this? So like I said, the technology that they're putting into these camera bodies and lenses for the mirrorless is just incredible. So. Any other questions regarding pretty much different type of stuff, different offerings from each brand?
Do whoops, let me unmute myself. Do other brands like Sony offer a silent shutter?
Yes. So pretty much all mirrorless cameras can go ahead and go into silent mode. What you hear whenever you're taking a photo is pretty much a microphone on the back here that is essentially giving you that sound. But they all have electronic shutters. So every brand, all mirrorless cameras have a mechanical shutter, but they also have electronic shutter. When you put on electronic shutter, you can make it completely silent, and you could also get faster frames per second because they don't really depend on a shutter mechanism opening and shutting for you. So this is the A9 Mark II. This is their Sony's kind of ideal sports and wildlife camera. So this one, I think it can achieve up to 20 frames per second with 0 blackout in the viewfinder. So let me go ahead and get this close to my microphone for you. So as you can see, pretty much that's on continuous high, and it's just a sound coming from the microphone, but you could turn that completely off and go ahead and have that ability to go shoot silently. So in case you're out in the woods.
So the sound is just kind of made to help the photographer feel like they're taking photos. It's not even doing anything.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could turn that completely off for you. What I loved about it is that I turned that off during wedding days, specifically during the ceremony, just so, I wasn't really kind of, feeling like, some people were looking at me primarily instead of the bride and groom. Having a completely silent shutter always helped me out. And then on top of that, like I said, the improved autofocus ability now is where you have eye autofocus, and it's just incredible to help you out for portrait wise. But nowadays you're going to see this built in with if you're like doing wildlife, you're going to be able to track like a bird's eye or an animal or like a deer's eye and be able to pretty much continuously track them as they're moving around, along with airplanes and cars as well. So and this is only getting pretty much better as you go along. We're just seeing some really kind of cool specs and cool features coming out for these new cameras. So.
I'd like your view on the future of Micro Four Thirds technology.
So, it's a kind of a tricky question. I love the Micro Four Thirds system myself. If you're doing outdoor wildlife and you have enough sunlight coming through, Micro Four Thirds is pretty much ideal for you, because what you can do, you can have a significantly lighter weight system that that you don't really feel like you're lugging around, but that's going to have all the features and image quality that you're going to see in pretty much your crop sensor or full frame. Where you kind of get tricky is with Micro Four Thirds is because it's a smaller sensor in there. It's 2 times smaller than a full frame sensor. You're not going to have a great low light or pretty much print production value on that. But honestly, I think I could go ahead and blow a print up 20 by 30 on a Micro Four Thirds sensor, and I'll be just fine. But once you kind of get in low light situation, it's just not there. For the future of it, I think it's bright. Panasonic and Olympus, or OM Systems now what they call it, are still pushing forward with their offerings. I know for a fact that OM Systems is still kind of producing really some amazing lenses along with some amazing cameras. So I wouldn't really be too worried about the Micro Four Thirds systems just yet, especially on the side of the video world of things, just because I know a ton of videographers who use Panasonic cameras in the Micro Four Thirds format, just because they like the format, because you're going to have better image stabilization as well because your sensor's smaller. But does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, am I still? Yeah, I'm still unmuted. Yeah, it does. I mean, I shoot Micro Four Thirds. The one thing that I found frustrating, it's great for travel, great for large animals,
Mm-hmm.
birds in flight, and maybe it's just me, but birds in flight, I found difficulty in capturing.
Now, which Micro Four Thirds camera do you shoot with?
Panasonic,
Okay, the G9.
G9.
Yeah, so the G9. So the biggest thing with on Panasonic's side with autofocus, and that's been a really kind of big issue, is that they use a I think it's kind of really, I can't remember the exact name. They use a different autofocus system than what you'd see in your contrast based or phase autofocus detect. So they're in Panasonic side of things, they're not going to be as fast as what you'd see in, let's say, like on a Sony camera, because they don't use phase autofocus detect or contrast based. They use it's a bit more algorithm based. The nice thing about that one is that with phase autofocus detect, it's only can go so far, but with the way Panasonic uses, they can go ahead and change the algorithm around and really kind of fine tune that autofocus. But with the G9, it is, I used to own that camera myself, and yeah, I know what you mean about the limitations of their autofocus system. So
maybe it's not just me.
no, it's not just you. Trust me, it's not just you. It's a great camera. Don't get me wrong, but
No, I
yeah,
love
it struggles with the continuous autofocus. If you like Micro Four Thirds and want to stick with it and are primarily kind of concerned with birding, I would highly recommend looking at one of Olympus's offerings, like the EM1 Mark III or the EM1X. Both of those have really improved bird and wildlife autofocus system. And if you like the Micro Four Thirds system and want to do that type of photography, I would look at Olympus's side of things, Olympus's offerings.
Can you switch the glass over?
Yeah, you can. So it's all Micro Four Thirds is an open mount. So that means that anybody can go ahead and make a Micro Four Thirds lens. Olympus lenses and Panasonic lenses are going to be interchangeable. You might lose a little bit of pro features. Panasonic has dual IS. That means that you're using stabilization from the lens and also stabilization from the body. So I think you get up to like 6.5 stops of stabilization. You do lose that whenever you put on someone else, pretty much a different brand's lens. So, but features like that, some people don't really heavily rely on in body image stabilization or stabilization in general. So, it's kind of a toss up of if you see the difference there.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Micro Four Thirds is not dead though, so don't worry about that. Your camera's still good. So, any other questions about anything?
Yeah, are compact cameras with long zooms a thing of the past? I've been interested.
It's a little muffled. Can you repeat that?
Are compact cameras with a long zoom, like the Sony RX10, are those, I mean, it's been a long time since they've updated that. Are those going by the wayside now?
It's kind of been tough ever since COVID started with a lot of manufacturing. What you see from many different brands now is that they're focusing on pretty much, your interchangeable lenses, and also not pretty much, I don't think they're trying to, I don't find the RX10 is a great camera for a built-in lens and stuff, but they don't really see that as continually trying to push forward with newer cameras in that type of camera, in the bridge camera, what you'd call it. Even like, let's say your baseline entry level T7 and D3500, Nikon and Canon, pretty much, I haven't seen many of those come through the door in quite some time, just because they are mainly focusing in their manufacturing plants on interchangeable lens cameras nowadays. I don't know what's coming next from Sony, if they're going to be coming out with pretty much a new bridge camera to replace the RX10. I can't really say with specifically. So, and that's one part I probably wish I wouldn't have recorded on. So,
well, I think the challenge is that because of smartphone cameras are taking over so much of the world, that I think the manufacturers deciding they've got to go with the big stuff in order to compete with people's cameras they carry every day in their pockets. I think it's a real challenging space for a lot of manufacturers.
It is, and you got to remember that, like, a lot of these with the let's say like the Rebel series, and plus on top of like the D3500 series, you know, these manufacturers have to look at what's making them more money. You know, are these baseline cameras for $500 on Black Friday really going to kind of help them out? And it just wasn't really there. But yeah, so take that with a grain of salt. I could be wrong, you know, but that's my own viewpoint right now on it. So.
Thank you.
Matt, could
Yeah.
you give a ballpark of what it takes? So if somebody has some kind of a point and shoot and they want to get into, let's say, a mirrorless of some type, what are we talking about for an entry level system? I mean, the Nikon, I'm guessing the entry level would be something like a Z5 or that level, and I'm sure each of them has one like it. What are we talking ballpark cost for, you know, entry level body with a decent mid-range zoom, you know, an 18 to 200 or I don't know, whatever you think is reasonable.
So you're looking around, starting around, let's say on Nikon side of things, you're looking starting around $700 to $1,000 to get started with it. The Z50 or the ZFC are your best bet to go into mirrorless if you're looking to try to get in that. So you're looking around the 700 to 1,000 range. On Canon side of things, you still have their EFM lineup, which is your M6 Mark II or your M50 Mark II. Both of those are great options as well. Sony has your A6000 series, so your A6000, 6100, or the new ZV-E10. Those all start pretty much, like I said, 7 to 1,000. That's kind of where your range is nowadays. Panasonic has some really great cameras that are still in that $600 range as well. So, and then so does Olympus too. So.
And what about a lens that you wanted to carry around and do some general things with?
So based upon those prices, you know, they each come with a kit lens, like a 16 to 50 or 18 to 55. If you're looking for a lens, sometimes honestly, for like Nikon has a nice 18 to 140 nowadays. That's kind of an all-purpose, all-in-one type lens. Both Tamron makes a nice an 18 to 300. That one's in, I think, around the $700 price range if you're looking for a lens to mount to Sony or Fujifilm. But yeah, no, pretty much if you're looking for an all-in-one type lens, you're probably looking around $700. For camera body with the kit lens, you're probably looking around $700 to $1,000.
So somewhere between 700 and double that to kind of get going if you're doing some wildlife or nature shots. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's where you're kind of getting into. The nice thing about a lot of these cameras is that, like I said, you could pick up, if you're looking to go into a Canon one, you can pick up this $100 adapter and go pick up like a used all-in-one type lens and still mount that over to a new mirrorless camera from Canon very easily. Same thing with Nikon and same thing with Sony. So, you know, you have that ability to go ahead and use this adapter and pick up some existing pretty much mirrorless lens and still have that work fully functional on your camera body.
You had mentioned some issues with manufacturing due to COVID. Any updates on things like it? Specifically, I'm waiting for a Fuji 70 to 300 to come in. It's been a while.
Yeah, we have been pretty much. I have not seen one of those come in probably in months now, probably since the summer. To be honest with you, that specific lens has been pretty much. We've had about 4 dozen on orders for the past, I would say, 4 to 6 months now, and it's just been pretty much. I haven't seen one come in. We had the Fujifilm rep here over the weekend, and I asked her about it, and it's just one piece that's she doesn't really feel comfortable enough giving a timeline. Even on Tamron side of things, we received a report saying, you know, some of these lenses are a few months out. Sigmas, they're not expecting them until some lenses until second quarter. It's just the unfortunate way things are nowadays. You know, I think I deal with pretty much that question on a daily basis here, about 5 times a day. You know, when's this coming into stock? You know, it's rough right now. So, yeah. If you're waiting on our pre-order list, I am sorry about that. So I appreciate your patience. I really do. Any other questions?
Do you deal in any used equipment with like people if they're buying Sony E mount and they want to get rid of their Sony A mount stuff? Do you buy any of that stuff back or not?
The A mount stuff, yes, we do buy that back. You're not going to see the hard part with A mount. It's just not as popular as it once was, and the value has dropped down considerably in the used market. And it typically does sit for quite some time on our used gear shelf. So a lot of things go into factor about when we're buying back used gear. But if you want to bring it on in, we could definitely run an evaluation for you and see what we can get for you if you're looking to trade in. So
What about other brands? What about Canon or any of the other brands?
are you talking about like EF or F mount from Nikon? Yeah, we still buy those, are still very popular. You know, we buy back pretty much anything. The only things we don't buy back is some of the very older film equipment or your kind of lighting equipment. We're kind of half and half on. So but anything else, well, light stands and tripods are a little mixed bag, and also used camera bags. But you know, we pretty much are pretty open to what we buy back here as used. So my suggestion, if you want to, and you could always go directly to our website here. Let me go ahead and share my screen for you guys. If you go to our website under sell and trade up here, you're going to go ahead and you can see a form that you can fill out and submit which gear you have. And that'll go ahead and we'll run that evaluation for you and get you some numbers, a ballpark number for you before you come out. So. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, if I do decide to move away from a compact camera to an interchangeable lens, and the money isn't as big an issue for me as it was a few years ago, and the basically, is there a reason why I would start with the beginner's level, or why not just move into a higher level?
So that's entirely up to you. It's kind of like what I tell a lot of people when they're buying a tripod, you know, either you can go ahead and get like a cheap, pretty much $50 tripod off of Amazon and find yourself needing to replace it every 6 months, or you can go ahead and get something that you're not really going to need to replace. You know, if so you're coming from the Sony RX10, correct?
Well, actually, Panasonic FZ300, which I'd like to change into an RX10.
Okay. So are you deciding between the RX10 or like an interchangeable lens camera?
Exactly.
Okay. It all depends on what you prefer to carry around. You know, the nice thing about the all-in-one cameras like the RX10 or the FZ300 is that you don't really have to change out lenses. In the RX10, you're going to see much better image quality because of Sony's clear image zoom technology built into their point and shoots and bridge cameras. So, you know, the benefit of what you're going to see going up to like an interchangeable lens camera is that you're going to have a bit more open availability of what different types of lenses, as well as pretty much, you know, like this is their 200 to 600 right here. This is their pretty much along with their 100 to 400. They're pretty much higher end extreme telephoto zoom. So you can go ahead and pick up that. You're going to have better image quality. You're not going to find yourself going from interchangeable lenses to a bridge camera. You're going to find yourself just having, you know, better image quality all around and better performance in camera. Like you said earlier, you know, who knows when Sony's going to release another RX10, an updated version. So you know, you don't know if you're going to see that pretty much the same technology for autofocus in the RX10 for quite some time. So that's the hard part. You're not really, you know, going to like one of the higher end cameras, you're going to find yourself not really needing, you know, any other bells or whistles or features that you'd see out there. So.
Well, it just seems like if I could afford the, what is that, the A7R?
Yeah.
And why would I want to start with a 6400?
You know, if you're okay going directly into an A7R series, either the 3 or the 4, then you know, I'd recommend that, because then if you get into the A6400, you might find yourself within 6 months to a year wanting to go ahead and like kind of like, oh, I want to upgrade, or what they call gear accusation syndrome. A lot of times people want to go into a kind of a lower end body and buy nicer lenses, and then kind of slowly work their way up to a nicer camera body. But if, you know, I would, at this point, you know, the A7R series is a fantastic system if you want high resolution. Also a nice counterpart to that is the Sony A7 IV. I'm not sure if are you familiar with that camera system at all?
No.
Okay, so let me go ahead and share this for you. So Sony has the A1, which is their flagship camera. This is 50 megapixels, does 4K raw video as well. I mean, this is all around a great camera system, but this is their newer one to replace the A7 III. If you're looking at going into a camera that you feel like yourself, you're not going to go ahead and pretty much replace anytime soon, I would recommend the A7 IV, 33 megapixels, so still really great high resolution on there. You have all the same autofocus functionality from the A1. Sorry, my slides are a little off right now. From the A1, but it's built directly into the A7 IV. So I mean, you know, you're getting yourself a lot of great features that you see in a $6,500 camera and a $2,500 camera, and this one's just releasing at the end of this month. So I would recommend probably looking at the A7 IV over the A7R, unless you really want like a 61 megapixel, 40 plus or 61 megapixel sensor on there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think I need that. I just don't want to be in a position where a year after buying the camera, I feel like I need an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I would recommend, you know, I think the A7 IV sits in a really great spot of the features that's built into it, you know, plus the performance for a lot of people, whereas, you know, you're going to feel like you're not really going to need to upgrade. The hard part, I'm not sure if a lot of people like to do low light photography, or really kind of where they find themselves needing to boost their ISO. The hard part with, let's say, the A7R4 at 61 megapixels is that you don't have that's so many megapixels that you're better for working in post than whenever you're pretty much dynamic range than it is whenever you're using it in situations whereas you need to boost your ISO. On lower megapixel count sensors, you have the ability to go higher ISO. So a lot of people find that a bit more beneficial than when they go ahead and use a high resolution sensor like the A7R4. So
Okay.
does that make
All right.
sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Matt, are you going to talk about accessories? You mentioned the word tripod. Have you got that in part of your presentation to us?
yeah. So
Okay.
what I was going to go
I'll
after is no worries at all. If you guys want me to move over to tripods, or if you guys want me to stay on some camera systems and everything like that, you tell me. It's kind of a free form here.
Well, I'm interested in getting a travel tripod for international. No
Okay.
post. I really don't want to pay $1,000.
No worries.
Needs to be lightweight.
I wouldn't want to pay
for me.
$1,000 for a tripod either. So.
Okay.
Dean, when will you travel overseas? I'm curious about that part too.
Well, hopefully May.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Italy.
Italy. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that kind of leads me into why I brought this out right here. This is Peak Design's travel tripod. This is they have two different series of this, of an aluminum one and a carbon fiber one. This is their carbon fiber one. As you can see, this is it pretty much, how big it is, all folded down and everything. The legs go out pretty far for you, as such and everything. And it's for a travel tripod, it's sturdy, you know. What I recommend on a windy day with about, you know, 8 pounds, 8 to 10 pounds of gear, you know, I'd rather go with something like this right behind me. But for travel purposes, if you're going to Italy or pretty much trekking across the woods for a long hike, this will pretty much be just fine in your bag. It's nice and lightweight enough. Has a ball head, Arca Swiss style plating on the top here. This one's a great thing for travel purposes.
But it has a center post, right?
Yes, it does have a center post. So
Do you have any without
that
are lightweight?
I know Benro makes a really nice one called the Tortoise. We carry that one. I am sold out of that one right now. That one does not have a center column. How small do you need it though?
15 inches.
15 inches.
Yeah. What is that one that you're holding? Folded
This
down?
is folded down. Let me look through here. Folded down, it is.
It looks fairly tall with all the legs in. Well, I just
I'm
wondered
trying.
if there was something new that you had in the shop that you could tell us about.
So this one is packed height. This is 15 inches.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and how tall do you need it extended?
Not very. I'm a little
Okay.
5 feet tall.
So I mean, they have. Let me see here. The nice thing about being in a camera store is that I have a bunch of stuff at my disposal. So this is the little hitchhiker one. This is a great little travel one as well to keep in the side of your bag. It extends out ever so slightly for you in case you need something like that. So that's your kind of maximum height on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also an option. I don't really have anything folded that's going to go out to like this type of height that's smaller than this. This is probably our smallest one folded for travel purposes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
weighs how much?
So the aluminum one is $349. The carbon fiber one is $599. I'm not sure. Are you guys?
How much does it weigh?
Oh, how much does it weigh?
The weight. Yeah.
Weight wise is total weight is 2.8 pounds on the carbon
that's
fiber.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. I recommend this one. I'm not sure. Are any of you guys on our email list by chance?
I am.
Okay, so we are doing a 12 days of deals going on. This one did go out yesterday. It's $100 off right now. We're having it on 12 days of deals. So if you guys are at all interested, shoot me over an email in any kind of specials that we have going on, and I'll add you to our email list. My email is matt@thepixelconnection.com, and I'll quickly add you guys on there and get you guys taken care of if you guys are interested. So one key thing, guys, a lot of people don't realize is that why, when we have these specials and everything like that, why can't we just tell you guys out in the public and go ahead and put that on our social media or put that on our website? Brands restrict us from doing that. So we can only promote any type of specific savings, exclusive savings through email or in store, over the phone, private communication. So if you guys are pretty much looking for, who has the best deals and everything, join our email list, and we typically send out a couple emails a week and let everyone know about any type of specials we have in store. So
Would you give that email address again?
yeah, it's Matt, and then it's MATT, and then @thepixelconnection.com. I'll type it in the chat for you guys.
Actually, I don't even see the chat on here.
That's the little cartoon button that's probably on the bottom. If you hit that, you'll be able to see a chat function.
But yeah, no, if you're pretty much that kind of, if for travel purposes, the Peak Design Peak Design travel tripod is a great option. If you're looking for a little small tabletop one, or to take on a quick little hike and need to get low to the ground, the ProMaster Hitchhiker is a good option. For a bit more beefier, if you guys are concerned about that and everything, what I have behind me, let me move a little bit here, is the Tma Series from Venro. So nice and thick legs. This setup does not come with a ball head. Right now I have their carbon fiber gimbal on here. Are you guys familiar with what a gimbal can do for you if you're doing a lot of outdoor wildlife?
No.
Probably a good thing to review.
Okay, so pretty much this is what a gimbal would look like here. Let me go ahead and swing that around. So a gimbal is going to go ahead and help you with stabilization purposes, especially if you're shooting any kind of wildlife, birds in flight, sports, or racing, because this gives you the ability to go ahead and pan. And you don't really have to rely on pretty much constantly keeping it stabilized. As you can see, I could swing this up and down, follow a bird, and just keep on shooting stuff like that. And I don't have any kind of issues. It's really nice. These come with an Arca Swiss style plate, which I always recommend going with instead of your Manfrotto, pretty much, or any type of proprietary plate. A Arca Swiss is a dovetail design. Are you guys familiar with Arca Swiss?
No,
No. So as you can see on the back here of this lens, on the bottom foot here, it's an Arca Swiss style, and I gotta get that. Let me see if I can help you out, get it focused a little bit. There you go. It's a dovetail. So what that does, that slides directly into your quick release section on here, and you don't really have to worry about kind of clipping it in or using a lever to pop it back, and it just slides right in. Manufacturers like Tamron and Sigma both make all their longer lenses. They have the Arca Swiss style plate on there already, so you could it's really easy for you to use instead of taking off a plate off your camera, putting it on your lens, and going that way. So
How much does that gimbal head weigh?
the gimbal head, I'm not sure off the top of my head. If you don't mind, let me see if I got the box over back here, and I'll be right back, okay?
I do think that Arca Swiss is really taking over for the plate connection. It's becoming a very popular interchangeable style that everybody's going to now, manufacturers and most ball head manufacturers as well.
I've got a comment to make about the tripods. I've got an older aluminum video tripod I bought for video. It's got a nice fluid head, et cetera, et cetera. I rarely use that now because with all the hiking that I do, I went with a carbon fiber. So the weight difference is substantial. But one thing that I found out is that I was using it at night recently, the old one, because I wanted to try Christmas lights doing a panoramic shot. So I wanted the fluid head. And that carbon fiber does not get cold at all compared to the aluminum. So, I mean, if the carbon fiber is in your budget, I'd suggest going that direction.
Yeah, no, that's a great point right there. Is that I tell a lot of people is that with carbon fiber, just if you're out in the cold weather, like here, what's coming up here and everything, you can go ahead and this is an aluminum tripod. So what you have to worry about is making sure that you're always gripping it by, whereas you have a pretty much a wrap around it. Carbon fiber, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't get cold. It's perfect for those moon shoots or anything like that. So this gimbal head is a carbon fiber gimbal head. It weighs 2.4 pounds. And load capacity on here is 66 pounds. So that's the GH5C series from Benro. Any other questions about gimbals at all?
Yeah, I guess I thought gimbals were mainly a video tool. I didn't even think of birds in flight and that type of thing.
Yeah, so no, if you're worried about gimbal, let me grab a video tool for gimbals. This is a automatic stabilizer. This is more so for video, for people who are doing video. Camera sits on here, you turn it on. You got to balance everything out, and then once you turn it on, it constantly stays stabilized. So this means for significantly less camera shake in your video operations. So yeah, no, they have gimbals for tripods, for photography, and then also gimbals, automatic gimbal stabilizers for videographers. So as you can see how big this is, there's smaller ones, there's bigger ones, there's pretty much any certain kind of gimbal that you're looking for. They're out there. So.
And for wildlife, man, if you're shooting a long prime lens, that gimbal, I think, is irreplaceable.
Oh yeah, it is. Once you kind of start using it and everything, you're gonna love it. One of my new favorite ones, let me see if I can find it up here online, is the new foldable ones. I would have it here, but we did sell out. There we go. Let me go ahead and share my screen for you guys real quick. So we regularly carry this one. This is the new GH2F from Benro. This is a travel, great purposes for travel. It's completely foldable. So you could pretty much take this apart and then pack it into a bag of just this size. So as you can see, all these, everything's all machined in. This is an aluminum one. If you're looking for something that's not going to like take up a ton of space, like the one I was just showing you, I'd recommend this one for you guys. It's a great gimbal if you're looking to just kind of get into it. They're expensive, yeah, but honestly, like you said, once you kind of start using it, it's highly ideal. So. Cool. Any other help with tripods or gimbals? Cool. Like I said earlier, buy, you know, don't go ahead and buy like something kind of cheap and inexpensive just to go ahead and get it. You know, spend a little bit more money and get something that you're not going to find yourself wanting to replace, especially for tripods. It helps out a lot. So saves you a lot of a headache in the past. So I wish I would have learned from my mistakes in college when I used to buy like, you know, the cheap ones from the store for like $50 and they just broke on me. You know, I hate using tripods because of it now.
Yeah,
So.
Ditto. Having learned from having to move up several times, I wish I would have jumped in with the good equipment early on. Would have saved a lot of headaches and a lot of money in the long run.
Exactly. So cool. What else? Do you guys have any other questions about stuff?
Anybody interested in backpacks or filters or other equipment? We're starting to run short on time. Want to make sure to get to any issues that our participants might have.
Yeah, so for backpacks, I pretty much brought out this one specifically because everyone seemed like they're like a lot of outdoors photographers, travel, hiking and everything. This is the new Tma Series Explorer V2s. What I like about the Tma series is that it has a really nice outer layer for rain and water repellent. Also, I've always preferred a backpack that you can go ahead and what they call internal component units. What that means is I'm able to take this internal component unit out and use my backpack for different purposes. So Tma has multiple different sizes for these. And it's pretty nice and excellent just to go ahead and take it out and pop it right back in your bag very nice and easily. As you can see, pretty much in here, you're able to go ahead and kind of switch anything around. Doesn't mean that other bags are bad, but you know, for hiking and outdoors purposes, I really like the Tma Series one. So has enough room to fit a laptop as well up here. Nice and sturdy framework as well. Has a waist belt on it that's completely removable too, and it opens from the back. So
You said it has a waist belt on it. Is it a tall backpack? I watched a video or a webinar the other day by a young woman, professional photographer, and she was talking about, because she was 5 feet tall, being a backpack that reached basically almost below her waist so that it helped carry the weight instead of it all pulling from her shoulders.
Oh, I see. There is tall. Are you asking if we have any?
Well, or what do you know about that kind of thing? I never thought about that before. I struggle with carrying too much in my camera bag and then getting tired faster.
To be honest with you, I've never thought of that myself either, about using kind of like your lower below your hip to use that as support, to be honest with you. There is pretty much a lot of these bags all come in different liter sizes. The one I just showed you, that was a 30 liter one. These go all the way up to like 64 liter, and they only get tall, and it pretty much gets taller. So let me grab one of those. But yeah, so this is like your big one that can go ahead and pretty much go longer on your back. So, but yeah.
Personally, I recommend
more like camping gear.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You're right.
I personally recommend make sure you get a bag that will fit in the overhead bin of an airplane, especially Gene for like travel and stuff. Because they get bigger than that, but you want one that's, can fit in the overhead compartment. I do find that the hip, the waist, just like regular backpacking, you want to put your hip gear together with a belt to help support the weight. And I find that true also when I'm backpacking with my tripods and lenses and everything. That matters when you have a nice belt and hip system.
Exactly. And that's the nice thing about these is that they have that. And then what I like for travel purposes with a backpack that you can take out the internal component out, you might, if you're traveling, you might not always want to take your camera gear with you. So having that ability to go ahead and take that internal component unit out that typically carries your cameras and lenses, and then throwing in whatever you need, whatever else you need, gives you a lot of functionality. So.
Great, thanks to both of you.
Of course, happy to do that. I have a wide variety of items here behind me, guys. So go ahead. If you need me to go grab something and want to throw it off, feel free to.
Matt, are there any accessories for the backpacks that would carry a tripod? So basically an accessory that would attach to the backpack and allow you to carry a tripod on the exterior of the backpack.
To be honest with you, not very easily. A lot of tripods have the side straps on the side there and everything. That's what or the front pouch for a tripod. To be honest with you, you're able to go ahead and get yourself like a lot of these tripods already come with like a kind of a case, a soft case. What I've seen a lot of people do, they use the straps on the side of the backpack and go ahead and strap that in. But to like kind of, easily attach it to a backpack, nothing that I've seen that really works very well, to be honest with you. So.
Okay, because I've got a backpack that's got the drink holders on both sides.
Yeah.
And my wife went to a Sofro or some sort of fabric store and picked up basically we put the tripod into the drink holder, and then she attached something at the top to help keep it in place so it didn't move around.
Yeah, so
we did that, but the problem is that the tripod's on the side and it tends to skew the backpack after a while. And so I was looking at if there was an attachment that would keep it more in the middle.
There is on most bags, they do have one. Let me go grab an option for one for you, okay?
Well, while Matt's doing, my bag, I don't know if you carry Tamrac, Matt. I have a Tamrac bag, and that one has kind of a two loops like that. You would kind of snap directly in the middle of the backpack where I carry my tripod when I'm hiking. So it's still not completely elegant. You have to kind of snake it around the right place to snap it on there so it's firm, and it makes it harder to get in and switch lenses. You got to first take that off before I get into if I'm switching lenses out.
But having it centered is probably better when you're walking.
Yeah, it works for me. And I've got my little system. I've got it figured out where it works.
Yeah, that they do have them down the center. Most bags have this little icon right here, where you just kind of pop out, open up the Velcro, and pop out where the feet or head sit down here, and then you use this strap right here to strap it right in there. Like you said, it's not completely 100% ideal. It's a bit better whenever you're using a bag that opens from the back and from back here instead of from the front, because like you said, you got to take off your tripod. But yeah, unless you're counterweighting that, if you're using on the side, and putting something a little heavier on the other side. So let's say if you're if your tripod's sitting on your right side, put like maybe a longer lens or your heavier lenses on the other side to counterweight that balance for you. So. And did someone ask about filters, correct?
I think it's an option. I don't think anybody's asked yet, but
No worries. What type of filters does everyone like to use in CPLs and NDs, correct?
Those are the only two that I ever use.
All right, cool. So if you're ever looking for a kit that's pretty much A lot of people always like to use pretty much these right here are the most popular from Nissi. These are your kits that pretty much work with a variety of lenses because they have adapters from 67 all the way up to 82. And it comes with typically a circular polarizer already in it, which you can take out. And then you can go ahead and get drop-in ND filters, whether graduated, hard stop, soft stop, or any which size you want, and go ahead and slide that right in here to the grooves. And now you have a really nice filter system if you're doing landscape work. Highly recommend something like this from Nissi. These are probably our more popular ones, filter holder kits. So, but yeah, this is the V7 one. And it also comes with a nice soft case that you can put everything in. So, yeah.
I think more photographers that do landscape could benefit from using those filters. You know, the little shots around here in the fall when you get the beautiful foliage and a little stream, just cutting that little bit of reflection off of the shiny leaves, I think makes the image so much nicer if you add that circular polarizer to it. And if you're doing waterfalls, nice to have a neutral density just to slow it down, get that creamy flow. So I think those are nice things for photographers to have.
Exactly. Whenever I'm pretty much recommending a filter, you know, it's really easy to kind of get a bad filter, a cheap one that's but it's gonna cause you image degradation. What that means is that it's gonna show up in your image quality. Get something nice, get something good. If you're looking at getting variable ND one, don't really get one that spans from 1 stop to 10 stops. Get something that's going to cut that in half either way. So like a 2 to 5 or a 6 to 10 stop. So what's going to happen is that if you do a 1 to 10, once you go over 5 stops of neutral density, what that's going to do is going to cause cross hatching and image degradation to your shot. And you don't want that. So go a little higher end of filter for a variable ND and get like a 2 to 5 or a 6 to 10 stop one. So I'm not sure if you guys work with a lot of variable NDs. Most of the time it's for videographers, but it does make life a little bit easier instead of using the drop-in filters. So.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to learn about? We've got an opportunity here from an expert with all the equipment.
Well, maybe either they did not like this, or you know, I answered all their questions. So
I think that might be the case, that we're getting, you know, that we're getting a good feel for you know, some of the systems and equipment. So
It was very
Yeah.
good. It was very good. It's not that we
Good.
didn't.
They
Thank you
answered
for
my questions.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
has
for
been
saying
really
that.
great. It's very helpful.
Nice. I don't like being the center of attention, and this is my first time doing a gear show. So, but I appreciate you guys saying that and everything coming on out.
yeah, thank you very much, Matt, for your willingness to set aside this evening and prepare all these things and talk about all these different systems. Very, very valuable. You know, like every other kind of technology, things move really fast these days. And even if you're a great photographer 10 years ago, there's a lot of advances. It's really helpful to know what's happening. It's great having somebody with your expertise to kind of show us the ropes and what's happening. So we appreciate Pixel Connection being such a good friend to the Cuyahoga Valley Photographic Society, and Matt, specifically to you for your assistance. We do want to, you know, wish you guys all the best. We hope that our members find their best deals from you, and you know, we both will benefit from that. So thank you very much for your time and effort to join us today. So thank you.
I'm more than happy. And if you guys ever need anything and can't make it out, I understand the Cuyahoga Valley area can be a little bit of a distance from us. You could always shop directly on our website or give us a call here at the store. We're more than happy to help you out and get that shipped out. I would say 95% of the items you see on our website ship for free. So, but yeah, no, feel free to. We do the rentals as well, so you could do the try before you buy in case you're looking at a different system and like, hey, I just want to make sure I like this over the weekend. We have a nice weekend rate where you get paid for 1 day, get 2 days for it. So, but yeah, no, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you out. We're a friendly staff here. We're all photographers, and you know, we're never really wanting to turn anyone away. So,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So,
Could I just ask one more question?
sure.
yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned photo walks. I didn't see any on your website.
So currently,
Are they
right now,
sporadic?
they're kind of sporadic. The hard part is we're going into the winter, so we see a little dip in attendance. We did do a photo walk, a holiday lights photo walk on Saturday over at Strongsville with their lighting setup and everything over there in the Commons. But they are typically a little sporadic. My suggestion is, if I'm not sure if you guys are on social media at all on Facebook, we do post our events pretty regularly up there. Under our events tab on our website, you'll see all of our events as well. We tried our best to keep that updated as possible and continue to be kind of get refreshed and newer ideas out there. But if you guys ever want us to come out and do a hosted photo walk with the club and maybe bring a brand with us and stuff like that, or some demo gear, let us know. I'm more than happy to orchestrate that and set that up for you with one of our team members. So
Cool. That's really good to know. Thank you.
yeah, of course.
And as a reminder to all of our members, you know, if you're on Facebook, we try to post things there. You should be getting monthly newsletters about all of our events and activities from the Photo Society. And we have a great website, cvps.org, where you can find, you know, past events, photos, upcoming events, speakers, and presentations. So pay attention to those. We got some really good programs coming up. And Matt, of course, you guys are invited to participate also if you want. So
Definitely. I would love to look forward to that. I'll check out that link this week for you, Steve. I appreciate that offer.
cool. Bruce, anything else you want to close out with?
No, just thank everybody for coming out. It was very informative. Matt, thank you for being informative and all the stuff you shared with us. And Steve, thank you and the programming committee for putting this together. And I hope everyone has a happy and safe holiday. So thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.